I created G-plans out of nutrition frustration. One day during nutrition studies at Duke University, we came across a revelation. We discovered that everyone has a completely unique metabolic structure and type. Eating a generic diet program will not get you the results you want, and you will continue on a path of yo-yo dieting forever. Ultimately, sustainable food programs are built within your own specific metabolic template.
I eat what Dr. G tells me to eat for my metabolic type. I don't call this program a diet because I eat more than on other programs.
Hello, welcome and thank you for tuning in to our presentation topic for today. We're going to talk all about non-scale victories, the importance of recognizing these and really focusing on these as great ways to determine your progress aside from just the scale alone. So we know, of course, the scale can fluctuate for so many reasons, and a lot of the times it's even out of our control. So it's very important to determine other ways to measure your progress and to also take notice of these as well. So we're going to jump right in, and please feel free, of course, as always, add any questions that may come up throughout this presentation in the chat box, and I would love to take those questions there at the end. Hello, Connie. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll go ahead and get started here. All right. Okay, so the importance of recognizing non-scale victories. So the scale will fluctuate. Have you ever followed your meal plan perfectly, stuck to your exercise routine, drank your water, and still found that maybe the scale went up? Sometimes monitoring our progress by the scale alone can be very frustrating. Our weight can fluctuate for so many reasons. Many of these will be out of our control. It is so important to have additional ways to monitor your progress beyond the scale alone. That is where non-scale victories come in. When your goal is weight loss, very often we can place too much focus on the scale and not notice all the other positive changes taking place. Today, we're going to discuss non-scale victories and ways to keep track of them. So muscle is more dense than fat. Have you ever followed a diet and lost a few pounds fairly quickly, but found that the diet wasn't maintainable over the long run? It is very likely that you lost more muscle mass rather than fat. Very restrictive diets generally lead to an increased loss of muscle mass. In many cases, you can actually weigh more with muscle mass while looking smaller due to muscle density. This is one huge reason why the scale can be so unreliable at times. Increasing muscle mass helps to boost your metabolic rate, and while you may weigh more on the scale, you will often find that you've definitely lost inches overall. So I have a visual here just kind of showing you an example. You may have seen something like this before where you compare 1 pound of fat to 1 pound of muscle. You'll see these compared here, and obviously that 1 pound of muscle takes up a lot less space. So just so you know, in comparison, sometimes if you started a new exercise routine, building muscle is an excellent thing to do. So you might weigh a little more on the scale, but obviously we can see the difference in the density compared muscle to fat. Okay, and so we're going to dive into a few reasons why the scale can fluctuate. There's so many reasons. So few big reasons here. You went off your plan over the weekend. So if you do incorporate a weekly off-plan meal and typically have this meal over the weekend, you may want to avoid choosing Monday as your weigh-in day. Some research suggests that weight is generally highest on a Sunday night and lowest on a Friday morning. Skipping meals. So when you don't eat consistently or you skip meals or snacks, this can first off lead to increased hunger later in the day, causing you to overeat. Eating consistently every few hours is another great way as well to help increase your metabolism. Carbohydrates. So carbohydrates just naturally in general do cause a bit of water retention when eating them. So eating foods that are a bit higher in carbohydrates, maybe something that's you don't normally have every day, will naturally cause an increase on the scale. Sodium is a big one. So eating a meal high in sodium will definitely increase water retention. This is also another reason why you may find your weight is up after eating a meal at a restaurant. They pack those meals with sodium for sure. Exercise. So, of course, if you've recently started or even switched up your exercise routine, it is important to understand you may see an increase in weight due to the fact that you are, of course, building muscle mass. Water fluctuations due to sweating during exercise can also contribute to fluctuations on the scale as well. Medication. So some medications may cause your body to retain water, increase your appetite, or change your metabolism as well. Menstrual cycle and hormones, big one. Your menstrual cycle can definitely cause your body to retain more water during certain times of the month, resulting in a slight weight gain. So maybe a good time again as well to kind of avoid this period for consistent weigh-ins. Alcohol intake. So alcohol isn't processed the same way as other beverages and foods, so it can take longer for your body to eliminate. It also slows the digestion of other substances, which can then lead to water retention as well. Okay, and water intake. If you have recently increased your goal for water or just recently drank maybe a larger amount of water before you weighed in, this can be one reason for an increase on the scale. Even being dehydrated can also lead to water retention as well. So it's important to ensure that you're drinking really the appropriate amount of water for you. Digestive issues. So if you're experiencing digestive issues like bloating or constipation, this can definitely cause fluctuations on the scale, of course. Illness. So your weight can definitely go up or down due to a bout of illness, like the flu, or as a result of a chronic condition. And stress. So when we experience stress, our bodies produce a lot more of the hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is often referred to as the stress hormone for this exact reason. Cortisol can slow down a person's metabolism. So when you experience stress, your body goes through a period of burning less calories. This is another reason as well why it's very important not to skip your meals, because that in itself, going a long period of time without eating does start to increase those stress hormones as well. Okay, and so now that we've looked over a good list of ways that the scale can fluctuate for so many reasons, we're going to talk a little more about non-scale victories. What are non-scale victories? Non-scale victories are health improvements that result from small life changes. Here are a few examples of non-scale victories to take notice of and celebrate. So really important that, of course, we are not only focusing on the scale as our only form of measurement. We need to look at all these other great changes that are happening as well. So a few examples here. Your clothes are fitting better. You can do more of the activities or hobbies that you love. You're feeling better when you do them. You've noticed an increase in your energy levels. Your sleep quality has improved. You've accomplished a fitness goal. Your mind is sharper. Your skin looks healthier. You've lost inches overall. You've built and created healthier habits. Your mood is improved. You have noticed medical markers are improving. And a good one, you're saving money by eating out less. So with that list I just mentioned, tell me, have you noticed any big non-scale victories? I would love for you to share them with me. Please add them in the chat box, and I would love to give a few suggestions, things that you've noticed and experienced at the end of this presentation today. So please share. Okay, how to monitor non-scale victories. So because it can be so easy to focus a bit too much on the scale alone, it's important to have ways to continuously kind of check in and monitor your non-scale victories so that you can also see your progress with these. Here are a few ways to kind of keep track and notice your progress. So taking progress pictures or measurements, huge one. When you take progress pictures or record your measurements consistently, this can often be a better way of noticing progress, particularly when you may be building muscle mass. You might see an increase on the scale, of course, but a decrease in inches. Another tip is to take notice of how your clothes are fitting. So if you have maybe a pair of jeans in your closet that are a little bit snug, continuously trying these on at regular intervals, noticing the change in how they're fitting is a great way to watch progress too. Track a healthy habit. So determine a habit that you're focused on building, like increasing your veggie intake, and track this. Focusing on building new healthy habits and monitoring your progress is a great way to hold yourself accountable and monitor these great changes that you're making. Monitor your fitness progress. So take note of fitness progress. If you've noticed that you're running your usual mile a bit quicker, or you've increased weight on certain lifts in the gym, these are amazing ways to see positive changes over time and very, very important to keep track of. And lastly, take note of positive changes in health markers. Absolutely. Have you noticed a decrease in blood pressure or cholesterol? Keeping track of these changes is important to notice the changes that you're making to your health. Recording your body fat percentage is another excellent marker to keep track of. So that does bring us to the end of our presentation here today. I hope that kind of bringing more attention to non-scale victories is an excellent way to continuously monitor your progress in additional ways, of course, beyond just the scale. And please share with me at this time if you do have any big non-scale victories that you've noticed. I would love to share them. Hello, Lori. Looks like, Ketra says, I notice more loss of inches rather than pounds. That's a great example, like I was mentioning. Of course, when you're building muscle, which is an excellent thing, you may notice, of course, more of a loss, say, in inches. Said I did fall off a bit, being home over several weekends, so I need to double down and get back on track. You've got it. One great tip as well. So of course, when you are out of town for a while, of course, you'll be thrown off your routine just a bit. I always like to say, set that plan. So set a plan for yourself on what you want to focus on while you're going on that trip. Kind of goals you want to set for yourself and how you would like to stick to plan. And then also set a plan for yourself on exactly when and how you'll get back on track once you return. Jean says, if I have a really big exercise day, like a 3-hour bike ride, should I increase my calories? Yes, I would definitely say the 3-hour bike ride's a pretty long time. I would say in general, it might be best to work with a health coach or nutritionist so that they could look at exactly what your activity level is and take that into account. But yes, I would say you definitely have more caloric needs for sure on those days that you're exercising, especially that long of a bike ride. Yeah, okay, Sophie says as well, I too have noticed more of a loss of inches instead of pounds. Yeah, again, this maybe recording your body fat percentage, finding a place somewhere near you where you can record and check in with your body fat percentage is an excellent way to look at these numbers, look at another number beyond just your weight, and notice this progress over time. Okay. And it looks like Ketra just said, when I first started, I wasn't hungry, but after being on it for a while, if I don't eat in a timely manner, I get hungry. And that's actually a great example too. We'll see this a lot. And that can be actually really good sign that your metabolism is increasing. So very often when you're starting on a plan, say with eating every few hours, you might find initially you don't have as much of, say, a hunger cue at those times. But after generally it's few weeks of sticking to those regular times, very often you'll see that you kind of get hungry at those same time intervals. That's a very, very good sign. So awesome. All right. And yeah, I would refer that back kind of to Thomas there as well. He said, how do you stimulate an appetite? I would say same kind of thing, set regular intervals, generally about 3 to 4 hours between meals and snacks throughout the day, and then stick with those times. Generally as well, it can help setting alarms to remind you at those regular times once you get started. And after a little while, you'll notice those hunger cues and it's a little bit easier to stick with. So thank you so much for sharing today. All right, I have another question here with Max. He said, I want to ask if possible about nighttime cravings. With taking a while to fall asleep, I don't want to drink too much water. That's a good point for sure. If you are finding you're waking up a lot, needing to use the restroom because of the water intake, it is important. Maybe kind of cut that water intake off an hour or so, a couple hours before bed. So very important there. And like you said, with the nighttime cravings, nothing wrong with eating later in the evening. The only issue is if it's more mindless eating. So that is where we can kind of lead to overeating. I would say plan that snack out that you're going to have, say after dinner, and ensure that it's something balanced. So something with good protein source, a bit of carbs and a bit of fat, and stick to that serving size for that portion for that snack as well. All right. Well, again, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing today. I really hope drawing a bit more attention to the non-scale victories. And again, like noticing your inches lost, your body fat percentage going down. So important to focus on these things. And, the scale can be a great way to monitor progress, but there's so many other ways that we can as well. So don't forget about other ways to monitor your progress and keep track of them so that you can look back over time and see these changes occurring. So next week, our topic moving forward is going to be how does sleep affect your health? So we'll dive into that one next Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in today and look forward to having you join me for next week. Have a great rest of the day.